Since the practice of contracting and subcontracting is allowed by law, it is within the rights of the employers to engage in such arrangement. However, this right is regulated by Articles 106 to 109 of the Labor Code, as amended, and its implementing rules, the latest of which is Dole Department Order No. 18A, Series of 2011, which upholds legitimate, responsible and ethical contracting or subcontracting. The rules requires employers or principals, whenever they decide to engage in a contracting or subcontracting arrangement, to be vigilant in choosing a contractor or subcontractor. A legitimate contracting or subcontracting arrangement requires the engagement of a legitimate contractor or subcontractor. But how do we determine whether a contractor or subcontractor is legitimate or not? For a contractor or subcontractor to be considered as legitimate, the rules require the satisfaction of 4 tests. It must have a substantial capital and/or investment of at least 3 million Philippine pesos paid-up capital, stocks or net worth. It should be clear, however, that tools, equipment, premises, implements, machineries and work premises that are actually and directly used by the contractor or subcontractor in the performance or completion of the job, work or service contracted out are separately considered from the paid-up capital requirement. It carries a distinct and independent business and undertakes to perform the job, work or service on its own responsibility, according to its own manner and method. It should exercise direct control and supervision of the workers it engage in, free from control and direction of the employer or principal in all matters connected with the performance of the work except as to the results thereof. Second, a legitimate contractor or subcontractor observes the rights of its workers. Contractors' workers are entitled to all the rights and benefits afforded to regular employees, which include the following: safe and healthful working conditions, labor standards such as service incentive leave, rest days, overtime pay, holiday pay, 13th month pay and separation pay, retirement benefits under the SSS or retirement plans of the contractor, social security and welfare benefits, self-organization, collective bargaining and peaceful concerted action, and security of tenure. It is important to note that their right to security of tenure is regardless of whether their contract of employment is coterminous with the service agreement, or for a specific job, work or service, or phase thereof. Contractors' workers also have the right to be protected by a written contract of engagement or an employment contract. Third, a legitimate contractor or subcontractor does not engage in labor-only contracting. A contractor or subcontractor may be deemed as engaging in labor-only contracting if it does not have substantial capital or investment which relates to the job, work or service to be performed, and the workers it recruited, supplied or placed are performing activities which are usually necessary or desirable to the operation of the company, or directly related to the main business of the principal. It does not exercise the right to control over the performance of the work of the employee. Right to control refers to the right reserved to the person for whom the services of the contractual workers are performed, to determine not only the end to be achieved, but also the manner and means to be used in reaching that end. Lastly, a legitimate contractor or subcontractor should be registered at the DOE regional office where it principally operates. Failure to register gives rise to presumption that the contractor or subcontractor is engaged in labor-only contracting. Moreover, the contractor or subcontractor must renew and maintain its registration, and it should not be delisted from the roster of legitimate contractors and subcontractors. Note that such delisting may be caused by several grounds which include, among others, findings that the contractor has engaged in LOC and/or other prohibited activities. If a contractor or subcontractor fails to satisfy these tests, then it may not be considered as a legitimate contractor or subcontractor, and the engagement that it has entered into may not be considered as legitimate contracting or subcontracting arrangement. Now that we know the legitimacy of contractors and subcontractors, we are more closer in learning the whole concepts, principles and requirements of a legitimate contracting or subcontracting arrangement. That would be all for now. Thanks for watching.